Okay, so make sure this is all set over here so that you guys can hear me well. So this is the fun part where I just kind of talk to myself for a little bit. Um, so what we'll do for this one, I wanted to talk about what I wanted to do is actually go through and discuss what is the kind of the method that I would personally like to see within within tournament paintball. I think that the league, when they did the whole 7-3 thing, I think that's moving the wrong direction. So I wanted to talk about that and kind of give my thoughts on that stuff. Talk about World Cup in general. I know you guys have seen the recap video. So I think this one's clean. Yeah. Make sure my backup's good. But of course, if you guys wanted to put anything in the chat, go ahead and do that. I'm more than happy to answer those. Get back in there. But yeah, let's talk first about World Cup. So overall, World Cup was pretty great. There was, I mean, the weather was nice. It got a little bit warm, but it wasn't anything too unbearable. It rained a little bit, but yeah, not anything too intense, not anything that wasn't bearable. Season. So I'm definitely going to be putting out some videos for you guys, of course. But I don't know what's happening for next season. So I guess just stay in the loop for that stuff. I don't know if that's more your question or if it's if you have a different question. But yeah, so let's talk about this 7-3 thing. If they do that, that's not going to be good. Like, I don't know if you guys saw the NXL 7-3. I'm also going to talk about a giveaway a little bit later, so make sure that you're staying for that. Yeah, the 7-3 thing. I don't know what the league is, if they're trying to have it where it's kind of like a focus. I guess is maybe more what the plan is. So there's the focus of the buzzer at the 50 snake, but I just think it's a move in the wrong direction. It's less paintball. It just doesn't make sense to only have a couple points and then that's it. Maybe they can incorporate something where there's like extra points if you hit a certain buzzer or something like that. But I don't know. I don't really like the format itself. Now they could take it and make it into something. Like I said, the buzzer at the 50, I don't think is a bad idea. I think that it's going to force stronger plays, but maybe make it where it's only an extra point, or I don't know, make it where there's something where it's not going to be this game deciding thing, just because you might get lucky. What I think the league should do, and actually I think Marcelo was the one, less time and less pods. I like actually limiting to 4 pods. I think that would be pretty solid. I don't agree with less time. I think more time in the field, the better. So personally, I don't want it to be that, you only play 1 point. I was helping coach a team at World Cup, and they were playing 5-man, and it's just like, okay, you play 8, and that was it. So like if you look at Europe, they have 4 pods and a loader limit. So usually see larger loaders because they don't specify. Oh, get back here. They don't specify, the size of the loader that you're allowed to have, and every company's a little bit different anyway. So like my my R2 I think holds like 220, something like that. And then like the control has all those different top shells, and the Virtue Spire hold. So it's like it's difficult to regulate that as an industry. I mean, I guess they could just tell people this is the only thing that you have, but I don't like that. But the 4 pods thing I think is great. I personally would really like to see it where like semi-pro and pro are 4 pods and a loader. That might actually help with having true sponsorships again, where it's not just a discount on paint. Without the paint sponsors, 15 BPS would be awesome. That would be so great. And then a lot of people can figure out what overshooting actually is, because when people complain about overshooting and they're like, "Oh, you shot me 3 times," that's not overshooting. Sorry. Go play 15. Yeah. So I 100% agree with that. That'd be great. Also, the thing with the team that was awesome is that you were able to lane people easier off the break. The gap between the ball was a lot smaller. So in the stream itself, so like 10 balls per second, 15 is going to be a lot closer. So it just made it a lot more difficult for people to stay alive off the break. But there was like a risk reward. People were still able to make it, make these moves. But if you limited it with 4 pods and a loader and then had 15 balls per second, that'd actually be pretty sweet. But I think they might have dropped it because of some legal stuff as well. I don't know specifics with that, but I feel like there was something involved with that. But yeah, like the pros and semi-pro at least should be 4 pods and a loader. Like there's no reason to have a whole bunch because I mean, look, I've been in that position as I play a 3 or a 2. I can play the 1. But if I'm going up the gut and I need to hold a gap, I'm bringing 9 pods, 10 pods. When I was with the Saints, there was some when we played NYX, I brought 11 pods out and shot most of them. So it's just like if I need to hold a gap, I'm going to do that. When we played Damage, I'm like, I'm putting Keith in the Snake. Like, why would I let arguably like the top 3 Snake player in the world get in there? Like that would be ridiculous. So of course I'm just shooting that gap, not letting them go through. So like that stuff, I think it would limit that because it's going to force moves and then it's going to force those real aggressive moves, which is great for the actual spectators that are out there. People like to see that. No one likes to see, like in football, no one likes seeing just a kicker come out all the time. It's like, no, go for it on third and 2 or whatever. Like try to go out for it. See, that would be interesting if they had it where it would strategize. Now the only thing with that is I think it should be that you walk out with 4 and then at the box you're allowed to then, so like the ref can look and see like 1, 2, 3, 4, instead of having to count for each player. They already have to do the chrono. They already have to look for, I mean, there's been some teams that started with 6. So apparently they need to look out for that too. But they, I think if everyone just started with 4 each and then, you can move it around after that, have it where, like if our snake guy only needs 2 pods, well, he doesn't need to carry 4 because he only needs those 2. Those 2 can then go to a player like me that might be watching over him, or someone that needs to hold a certain section or maybe pressure a player a little bit more. There's a lot of benefits with that. So I think having the 4 pods and a loader limit would be fantastic. Now, would it go down to the lower divisions? I don't know if that would happen. I'm not opposed to it. I think it'd be really great actually for them to have that as well, just because it helps save money. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like, if you guys remember, I can't remember how many years ago it was now, but they had it where Pro had the the true semi, and everyone else had other stuff, or like there was different ramping modes. So like that stuff. I don't know if it's a bad thing necessarily. Have cameras in the lane to make it more watchable. So, okay, that's one thing I do want to talk about, because I don't know what the NXL was thinking with the pink fill. That wasn't the issue. Like, so being able to see those lanes when you have the cameras like back behind a player is going to be helpful. I think that, like I said in my video, the NXL did do a great job with including in Go Sports those little yellow lines. I think that was a really great thing. That was something that was just a good addition. It made it where you were able to see what was actually happening, who shot who, or who could shoot someone. Oh, this needs to walk out. Like that kind of stuff is really good for people to see that, especially don't play paintball. If you don't play paintball, it's so much more difficult to understand what's going on. My wife has been around paintball for a while and she's like, I still don't understand it. So it just makes it easier when you have something like that, where people are actually able to see what is what's happening or who's shooting at who and that kind of stuff. But yeah, the pink fill, it's just like, guys, that was not the issue. Like pink fill is not the answer. It's going to stain stuff too. I think it's the red dye that they use to get it to that pink when they're making the paint. I could be wrong. I'm not a paint manufacturer, but I think that's what the issue is. it stains stuff. So don't put something out there that when we go to a venue for the first time and then we stain everything. Like, no, they're not going to want us back. You guys know about um, LA Open. I think that's why we weren't able to go back, was because we stained stuff. There was orange paint, which I think it was the yellow, and then they added the red dye, and that's the stuff that was staining things. I don't think we were allowed back. Like, we stained their parking lot. Like, that kind of stuff is not going to be good for getting paintball out there. So why would we put ourselves in that situation? Considering that the league is able to go, and I think there's a contract for that location for World Cup, there's not really an issue for regards to paint, but I really hope that doesn't continue over to 2024. What they do need to do is have it where it's just a set. Okay, you're allowed these different shell colors. Here's the breakdown for the coloring. It can be this yellow, this green, this pink, this purple if they really wanted to, but it has to be a lighter purple. Any of the colors need to be a certain brightness. And I get it. I know some players really like the dark shell paint because then it makes it harder for their opponent to see. I get that. I do. It's just I don't want that on. That wasn't the issue on the pro field. So I mean, granted, the NXL's trying things. I don't think that's a bad thing to go out there and try. But yeah, it is what it is what I was saying, right? But yeah, if they went to that kind of a model where they were able to just have a certain shell color, good. Like, go and do that, and then there would be some interesting stuff would happen for sure. Like, you could have it where dye or not dye. Riverside because of the soccer. No, we didn't get to play on the soccer. Oh, well, Riverside. I'm thinking. So LA Open was at the Home Depot Center. Riverside. I don't know if I think I played that event. I don't even remember, but I remember the LA Open, and we went past all these gorgeous soccer fields and then played on turf in a parking lot. And I'm like, oh well, that's not what I was hoping for. But yeah, that's the thing. Over in Philly, we're not ever going to be able to go back to that college that it was at, because I don't think they realized that we were going to be destroying the grass the way that we did. Didn't help that there was a storm that came through, but that stuff you can't account for. But I don't know if the league just didn't explain it to them that, hey, this is going to be a little messy, because I think I heard was that they wanted to have like a soccer or lacrosse thing on that field. And it's like, yeah, that's not going to happen. Look, Alexis, you just got to get me in contact with the field and we can make that happen. All right. We'll figure something out with that one. Marcelo literally does that for his job. I'm a school teacher, so my schedule is going to be a little bit different than his. But I would like to do something like that. That'd be cool. With regard to going back to the league, the 7-3 thing is not the answer. But speaking of Marcelo, one thing that I really liked that he had said was, why don't we have it where under 30 seconds, if you hit the buzzer, it's 2 points? That's awesome. That forces people, especially if we had that and 4 pods, or even we can just keep the paint at where it's at. When you have these quick points happening, it's because people want to get that extra point. I think that would be something that would be fantastic for the league. Then you're really forcing, like, okay, well, either we can tie, or if we go for it, we can actually win this outright. So maybe they need to expand out the mercy rule in pro, but I think that would be something that would be fantastic, because it's really going to force aggressive moves, because then you're able to go and like, all right, let's go get these 2 points. Now, the thing that I added in, I don't think Marcelo had mentioned this, it's just something that I had thought of, was they should have it where if you hit it dirty, I'll absolutely be back in Palm Bay. Don't worry about that. Yeah, we can talk about that one for sure. That's not far from me. I have to get on a plane to go to DR. So the what was it? The team that hit it, if they hit it under 30 seconds or less, and they have a dirty hang, It should be an automatic point no matter the time left on the clock. So I think that would be something that would be really great, because then there's that risk reward. Okay, if I really go in and hit the buzzer and I have a hit on me, well, it's not just a no point anymore, or it's not, depending on the rules or whatever that they have, it's an automatic point for the other team. And I think that would be something really interesting to have that. So I understand, or my understanding is, at least with when I was playing pro, they would send out, if there was going to be a change or something, kind of like a vote for the pro teams, to the owners of the team, and then there would be decisions made after that. It would be good to have set players, and I think they do have some sort of like a steering committee to help with that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, it'd be fun to be on that. It'd be interesting to talk about it with different people. But the thing I would really like to see the NXL go to, and this is where I think I kind of teased it a little bit on the video from Sunday. I think what the league should do is they need to split it into 5 different conferences. So you have a Northeast, Southeast, Midwest, and then Northwest, Southwest. Have it where, like for me in Florida, let's say I was a divisional player playing Division 3 and I want to be able to play NXL. Okay. The furthest I have to drive is like South Carolina. And then, maybe a little bit further west. Ultimately, you get everyone in a car, you drive over, and you're able to play over the weekend and then come back. And it's going to be a lot cheaper than having to go get flights and having to go and do all this extra stuff. So that's what I think it should be for divisional. Now, what I think for semi-pro and pro is those are the only teams that are actually moving and flying around to the different events. So that way, as the event comes closer, you can start telling people, oh, the pro teams are going to be here this weekend because they're the ones that are traveling around. It would be great if the NXL was also able to have specific locations, maybe more central to all of those, or at least a couple different fields that they can go around to. And they buy outright, or they work with fields, like Legacy, which used to be CFP. Jason Edwards is doing a great job. He's really trying to get things back to what CFP used to be. Tiki's over here has a bunch of fields. So there could be fields that would be able to house and host these tournaments, but maybe it'd be best if the league just bought land outright, and then they can keep it flat. You can just have the grass grow. If they wanted to do like what they do with the field for World Cup, it's cow pasture usually. So I think the guy that owns the cow pasture, like we pay them, or the NXL pays them, and then the guy just moves his cows off for a little bit and then comes back with them. So it's that could be something that would be an extra revenue stream for the league. But the thing that I would really like to see is those conferences. And then when you have these conferences, the players have to win out of their conference. So pro and semi-pro would maybe be kind of locked to certain numbers. That would be an interesting thing for semi-pro, but that that's a down the road of a thing. But if they did that, the divisional teams that win out go to a World Cup where you win a large prize package. So kind of like what they did with the Super Cup thing. I think that would be fantastic consistently. And then maybe they can have other divisions for players that just want to go and play. They didn't make it out. And maybe the top 2 or 3, or maybe more than that, go to World Cup and play there. And then the other teams, if they want to, they can go and put together a team and do that. I think they were trying to have it where, and I could be wrong about this, so didn't they try a regional idea with affiliate leagues? I think they tried to do something with that, but I don't think it was, I think it was just for World Cup. Like you got like entry for, or something like that, and some paint. It wasn't like you had to win. So I could be wrong, but especially living in Florida, going and flying to Chicago and Vegas is not easy. I 100% agree. So, I mean, when you're looking at the players themselves, like you have to think about, and when I was in high school and working to play paintball, like it was just, I would go and work so that way I could go and play. And like, it's just, I remember I went and did landscaping for someone so I could go pay for an event, like kind of stuff. it's difficult. So if I could have it where I don't have to worry about a plane ticket, where I can just, we all pay in $40 or $50, depending on how much the gas is to get somewhere, and you get a couple guys in a van or in a little Honda Civic, um, you just drive to the event, and that would be something that I think the league should really go towards. But it's tough. It's tough to say because it's just like what is the benefit of the league and the players. Sometimes there can be conflict because I mean ultimately the NXL is a business. So that kind of stuff makes it difficult because it's like, okay, well, how do we make more money? Well, I think these regional things are great because then you're able to actually, okay, yes, you do need to hire more refs for these things, but if you have more teams, then making more money. And also the paint companies are happy because they're able to sell a bunch of paint because they have all of these different events going on. So I that would be ideal. Also, what would be great with that is you can look at your local area and what are the best times for events during the year leading up into World Cup. Um, like what was it when we went to Texas? It was like the rainy season. It's like, well, why would we have an event in the rainy season? Like that doesn't make sense. Like it's going to be just terrible. Everyone's going to be disgusting, especially when we go to hotels and you have muddy gear bags and just mud everywhere. Like that puts a bad taste in like Marriott's mouth or Hilton's mouth because they don't want paintball players. This is not going to be good. We don't want to have these guys that are coming in and destroying everything. So I think if we had it where we could look at these are the better times and have enough time in between, you can still have it where the leagues release the layout. You can do blind layouts, whatever it is that is, or maybe it's blind layouts until the pro or semi-pro games are there, and then everyone can practice whatever those ones are. That would all be stuff that it would. I'm just kind of thinking loud with this, so I don't know. I think if we were able to go into more of that kind of a mentality, it would be great. I think ideally it'd also be that it's not a tournament that you're playing, but that you have your set teams and you go and play 2 or 3 matches and then come home. And then over the season, you have everything. So if you guys know about the CXBL or the AXBL, they did that kind of stuff where you would go for the weekend. It was full on X ball, 2 25-minute halves, 15 balls per second, but you'd only go and play like 2 matches, 3 matches, and then that would go towards your overall ranking, and then you would work your way towards the end. So maybe the league could have it where you pay into that, and then okay, this team is a franchise and they go forward, and you kind of go from there. I think that kind of stuff is going to be better to legitimize the sport, but it's also going to be something that is something that's more. It's just gonna be better for the players. Like that's what it comes down to. So there's no reason for them to do these crazy events. Now, I also understand the other aspect where, okay, well, what about the local leagues? Well, maybe that's when the NXL hires these guys. I mean, look at Alex and the MVPS here in Florida has run a fantastic league. MVPS is blown up. If you go and play an MVPS, you have so much paintball that you have to play in like a day because they have so many teams that when you're moving on, it's like consistent that you have to continue playing and you get your money's worth. You get to go and play. It's great. Yeah, I understand the complications. It's difficult because ultimately it's the NXL, it's the National X Ball League. So if it was the IXL, maybe, but yeah, I think it would be better to actually have it where you have your Euro NXL, you have something in other areas, and then you can kind of win out into that. But yeah, it's ideally the league would be able to work with Enterprise or Hertz or Avis and okay, give them this code and you get this discount. And that way people can come in. So I don't know, because ultimately paintball is an expensive sport. It's not cheap. It's not something that is easy to drill and play all the time. So people are lucky, and this is why it helps if you guys go to events and you can go pit for a pro team or semi-pro team. You might be able to get some free paint out of it, and that could be 2 or 3 cases that now you didn't have to pay for. And if your local field is fine with it, if you're just going to go drill or whatever, then they'll be cool with that. But yeah, I get it that it's tough for international teams because it's definitely difficult. I 100% get it. How like Red Legion does it, I don't know. Like that type of cost flying over from Russia, and they don't have everyone in Russia. There's other players that are from. Well, I know they're in Florida. I think Jason's in Utah, and then the other players, they have 2 or 3 Spanish players that I think are in Colombia. So like that kind of stuff, it's like, yeah, let's that's expensive. That's not easy. Let's see. Be hard for people to do anything without mainstream for sure. And I think so that's another thing with the sponsorship stuff is when you look at the NXL, you have all this space on the field that we are not utilizing for sponsors. You have the NXL logo or the now MLP logo behind that little start box. That's to help players not start out of bounds. So there's no argument with that. If you look on the back, it's just a big blank space in the middle. Why are we not talking to Budweiser or to other companies to have that on there? My understanding though is that like Spot and was it Goose Island? They were like, we didn't really get anything out of this. So we need to make it where it's a viable option. So make it where the teams are promoting things, or I don't know, just something that it helps when you go to a Coca-Cola and you say, hey, we need X amount of dollars. Well, they need to see what's the return, because if it's not worth it, they're not going to do it. So if you're able to have it where, again, look on the field, you have these huge spaces where why can't we spray paint a logo on there? Why can't we? The bunkers, I get it. Like the Landry Logistics bunker was great. Logan has been a huge support for the league. I was talking with him, and it's just like, yeah, this is something that helped for me as a person, so I want to give back. I don't think he's really getting anything out of it. Like he might get a free VIP something and maybe some free food or drinks. I don't know, but the issue with bunkers is that they get dirty. So unless you have refs going out there and squeegeeing everything all the time on those logos, but then it looks kind of janky. So when you have that big gray Major League Paintball thing in the back, why are we not trying to talk to someone to put that on the back where there is literally going to be next to no paintballs bouncing off the net to hit that? Now you have a nice clean area. Or if you have it on the front, it's easy to wipe off or, just spray off real quick. And then you have these really nice logo spaces. Same with the field. You have all this grass space. Why are we not spray painting down along like the sideline for the snake? Like the out of bounds could literally be something. And it's just wasted space essentially is what it is. So I think the sponsorships are there. It's just talking to the people and trying to make it where this is the thing that we want to do. And I think the NXL is going to have to be okay with, we're going to take less, do this real big for you. And then as time goes on, here's the goals that we want to meet with it. So then we can go from there. So I don't know. When I'm watching the Go Sports matches, I'm just like, I just don't get what you guys are doing. Like, I don't know if it's just, I have a marketing background, so I don't know if it's just that or what. And thanks, Alexis. Yeah. So like that's the thing too, is like, if you can drill smarter, you don't need a bunch to drill. It's just that if you have a lot of paint, then you have a lot more paint that you can drill with. So yeah, that is what it is. But I guess put in the comments, what do you guys think of my idea? I think with the statistics and all that stuff, I don't think is there just yet. It's really difficult to do that. The NXL used to do it, where they had like people in towers that were able to watch and radio over like, okay, number 17 shot number 3. And you were able to put down, all of that stuff. But it's really, really difficult to do that when you have 10 guys shooting at each other. And what do you do for trades? What do you do for, is there an assist? Like literally at World Cup, I'm shooting at a guy in the snake because I see my guy run down the snake. Do I get an assist for that? Because I was shooting at him. I also wanted to shoot him, but like I was shooting and then waiting for him to stand up so I could shoot him a couple more. But yeah, I mean, if I'm putting pressure on someone to keep them in and my player runs them down, do I get an assist? Like, how does that work out? How do you even understand that? Actually, Charlie from the ML Kings, when I still played with them, was talking about like, yeah, you could work out with cameras and have it where how is it that they're lined up and see player getting eliminated and all that. I guess it wouldn't be super difficult, but it's just a lot of extra things. And I think it's more important right now just to get eyes on paintball and getting it where you can get some more legitimacy, get a Monster Energy, I mean, honestly, just getting like Coca-Cola or Pepsi, just someone that's big that has all these other things below them. Give us the scrappy whatever energy drink that you guys don't really care about because it's 38 cents for half a gallon of it, and you just want to pump stuff out. I mean, if you look at Rain, they were out there at the MVPS. Actually, I think Red Bull will be out there giving out the free samples. So like they know that there's a market. It's just what are they getting back? So if to put out all this money, it's cheaper for them just to get a booth and give out free product because it doesn't cost them anything to make that. So it's just really difficult for them to legitimize. Okay, this is what's going to actually be worth it for us to do that. I think something that would be really interesting too is if they lock the rosters for pro. I think with how it is now, the only time that the rosters are locked is after Chicago. If you played on a pro team, you cannot play for another pro team. I think Axel got around that because he played with Tauntauns the whole year. So I think they made an exception because when I had the whole thing with the Saints happen and I didn't play pro at Cup last year, I was going to talk to another pro team. And then I don't know if it was Jason or someone else I had spoken with said like, yeah, you can't do that. So I was kind of a little salty about seeing Axel. I'm like, wait, so he can go out, but I can't. But he also was playing with Tauntauns the whole year. So I think that was probably the whole thing. Yeah, survivability would be great. Yeah, especially like, yeah, how do you get kills off the break? Exactly. And even with bounce shots, it's like there's some weird bounce shots that you shoot one side and it goes to the other side of the field and it kills someone. So does someone else get that? Like, it's just kind of weird. And then what do you do for players that just catch a random ball that just happened to hit them? It's like, well, we don't know who actually shot that player. But yeah, I think having it where, these 5 numbers are out. Did they win or lose? And, looking at that, what's the, did they die or live the whole point? Like that kind of a thing could be good where, yeah, I mean, it would be the, was it Marcelo calls it clutch? I think, just clutch players that are able to stay alive are important. But that's also even difficult too, because then you have players that like, I like to play really aggressive in the middle. So if I'm going up, like there was a point at World Cup, I think it was against Galp. I dove up into the middle, traded with one guy, and then they got a minor because he played on. So like that means that technically I didn't live the whole point, but now like how does that work out? So I think there's some stuff that it's just easier in like football because then it's like, okay, how far did the guy run? How far did he throw? How many tackles did he make? You can do all of that stuff, and there's a lot more money in that, so they can have a whole crew that's dedicated to that. But yeah, I think if they were able to have it where you lock the roster, it would definitely make things interesting. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if you guys have ideas. Absolutely put it down in the comments down below. I think ultimately, if what I wish would happen, and I don't know what happened to this. It's like this. Put on my tinfoil hat. Sounds like a conspiracy theory, but I think there's probably more to the story that I just don't know. There used to be a company, I think they were called Hydrotech. So there was a company called Hydrotech. Sorry if that's cutting in and out. I'm hoping it's not my internet. So that they made it was like a non-Newtonian fluid inside there. So it would be like gel inside the ball. And then when it hit, it would kind of liquefy and then go into a gel again. So you could actually have 2 different colors. So you could have like a green and blue. when it hit. So that would be something that could be interesting. But that aside, what was really great is that it was, I think, corn based for the shell, and all of it broke down very easy in water. But if it was raining out, it wasn't affected as much by the water. Like, it would break down eventually, and I think it was pretty easy to wash everything off. But in the game, like, if I go out and it starts raining on my speed feed, like with our gelatin based paintballs, that's going to be bad for the paint. So I don't know. It could be something. Oh, the sound. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if anyone else is having that issue. I hope you're not, because that would be really annoying, because this microphone has been very good to me and I don't know what's going on. So, so yeah, so I think if I think I want to say that it was also cheaper. So I don't know if the company just got bought out and, like GI comes in and they're like, we don't want this, so we're going to buy you out and just kind of destroy it. I hope that's not the case. I think there's probably more involved. But I mean, if you look at paintballs in general, it's like, okay, how do we make these cheaper and how do we make them just as good? Right now, there's really not a lot of competition. Now, I think next year there's going to be good competition. I've heard rumors of another company coming in, wanting to sell at the NXL. What is it? There's one company that, I don't know if I can get into that because that's kind of a rumor. I'm not going to say it. I'm sorry. I'm not. I just don't want to get in trouble. So, yeah. So there's a lot of, if there's a lot of paint companies, then that helps drive down the cost, because everyone's trying to compete, and it's not just, okay, well, we're the only paint company, so you have to deal with bad paint, and that's just the way that it is. Any player rumors? Oh, I saw something about Corey Field might not be with the Ironman anymore. I don't know if he would go and play with someone else. Actually, I wonder if he would go with Uprising, because he is in the Northwest, and I know Uprising announced that they are not selling their spot. That was a rumor that was starting to go around. I can say that now because they debunked it. But there was a rumor where they were like, Uprising might be selling their spot. I feel like Uprising is always on the brink of destruction. Those guys are scrappy. Like, they don't have the funding that like Dynasty does, so it's difficult for them to perform. But I can't even talk about, like, there's one rumor that I know about that I can't tell you. I was sworn to secrecy. It's not my full-time job. I wish. It'd be really cool. I'm a school teacher, so I teach high school science. So I try to go and drill and all that, and take care of my family. Ideally, some things can happen that I'd be able to make this my full-time job, but paintball is fickle, and it can be difficult with all that. And at least with teaching, it's a guaranteed job, but I guess it's always going to be there. So I don't know. I guess we'll see where the big man upstairs, what he kind of makes happen. But yeah, I'd like for that to be the case, but ultimately I have to see what's best for my family. If it was just me and I can live off ramen, yeah, maybe I would, make that happen. But I have 2 kids and a wife to provide for. So, yeah. So, oh, the yeah, sure. We'll just say that. I got into paintball because of my church. Actually, I was really scared to go. I didn't want to go play. My dad made me go. I thought about, oh, well, what if it hurts? And he was like, no, I'm paying for it. You're going. And I don't know what it was. Just something kind of just grabbed me, and I just have been playing for way too long. But got to see a dream come true and play pro for just about 5 years, or play for 5 seasons is how I put it. Because technically I didn't play 5 full years. I missed a couple events, but we'll just consider it 5. But yeah, I don't know what it is. There's something about it, and I know you guys can relate, because no one else can. Even my wife is like, I don't get it. But yeah. So if you haven't seen the other video, just a heads up. So Gel Blaster actually gave me some Gel Blasters to give away. So in that video, if you go over there, if you haven't entered already, you can go ahead and enter for the Surge or the Surge XL, the big rifle one. So If you are international, you'll just have to help pay for the shipping if you win. I'll, of course, pay whatever it was that would be the normal rate for in domestic shipping, and then we'd figure it out together. But I think it comes with like 10,000 gellets or something. So they're fun. Like my son and I are out there shooting at each other, and if you have kids, this one actually has a little orange barrel that you can screw in, and it drops it to like 90 feet per second. Like I'm sitting there just like shooting a 3-year-old, and he's fine. I shot my 1-year-old. Don't get DCF called on me, but I even shot him, and he was like, it's barely anything. Like, so it's nothing. The XL, on the other hand, is definitely spicy. So just have that in the back of your mind if you are going to be entering. But yeah, go over to yeah, they're awesome. Go over to my previous video. So it's the last day of the NXL World Cup. And then if you watch through, you'll have the instructions there. So yeah, go through, look at all that, and go ahead and enter. I'm going to be picking a winner on Sunday evening. So I'll email you. So there's a whole instruction of like how to email me and all that stuff. It's just going to be easier to do it that way than trying to go through YouTube. And yeah, so yeah, I'm going to call it a night actually. So just as a heads up, go over there, go check out the Gel Blaster giveaway. I guess in that video, you can tell me what you liked and didn't like about the NXL World Cup, or maybe some ideas for what could be better in 24. I do like the snake. They seem taller to me. Someone said they're not actually taller, but they seem taller. I think they actually were, but I don't know. The way that I walked up and I was like, they look a little taller, so that makes it just easier to get down the snake quicker. So yeah, so I will see you all. Thank you everyone for jumping on. And as always, remember, watch, learn, win. Thanks.